Yeah, Wallet's feeling sick, so he's gonna have to call in through Discord here. Oh, okay. You there? You there? Are you there? Yeah, I'm here, Nick. Oh, you don't sound too good. Yeah, I'm a little sick. Just wanted to let the people know this deck comes in at $58, and it's a bracket 2 casual deck. I'll see you guys later. Wish me luck. Get well soon, buddy.
What's going on? Welcome to Nick's Lotus. I am Nick's Lotus. And today we're going to be looking at a deck, one of the decks that covers some of the biases I had in the game, hoping to squash them and breed a brand new chain of decks for me that I love. All right. Today's personal biases that this deck squashes, we've got a triple threat. Okay. The first one being, I do not like artifact decks. Now, the reason being, I think artifact decks are very same, or at least I did think that artifact decks were very same. That meaning most of the card pool in any given artifact deck, especially in casual bracket 2, looked almost identical. It's like, hey, are you making treasures, clues, or food? Put an Academy Manufacturer in there. Make sure you run all the artifacts cost 1 less cards as well. It felt either very samey like that, or it felt like all the artifact cards were so powerful. You had like your Urzas and like your Mycosynth Lattice, I think is the name of that card. Stuff like that where I wouldn't even touch it with a 10-foot pole because it was just so strong. And it felt like either way I went, I wasn't going to be that into artifacts. So the first beef that I'm going to squash is my beef with artifact decks, all right? The second beef we're going to squash today is my beef with Izzet decks, okay? If you asked me what my top 3 least favorite 2-color combinations were, my number 1 would be Boros, so you guys are going to get a Boros deck in the future at some point. There you go. My second would easily be Izzet. I just do not like Izzet, and I'll explain why here in a second. And my third would be Azorius. The reason I do not like Izzet is not because it's samey. It's not because the decks aren't creative, because every time I play against Guara or LJL or 3Hoenn or Outreach Gamer or Yorsum, every time they bust out an Izzet deck, I'm like, oh, that's really creative and really cool. The reason I don't like Izzet is because I am not smart enough, or at least I didn't think I was smart enough, to run an Izzet deck, especially a Spellslinger deck. This is going to be an artifact deck, so again, expect a Spellslinger deck in the future at some point. But most Izzet strategies seemed way over my head with the counter magic and the tempo plays and making sure you curve out right. And the strategies feel very honed in with Izzet, and that was just something I wasn't used to. So Izzet was not a thing I didn't like because it was the same. I didn't like it because I just thought I was too dumb to run it. So there's that. And the third beef I want to squash is my beef with vehicles, okay? I hate vehicles. I think I might dislike them more than battles. At least battles have like a cool, like, new mechanic introduced. Vehicles are just like, hey, you remember creatures? Creatures, but harder. And I'm like, wow. Never want to do that. So you're going to get a full-on vehicle deck in the future as well, so look out for that as well. But a vehicle commander, which is what this deck has, is something that you couldn't have sold me on in a million years. But this deck has squashed all 3 of those beefs. This is now an Izzet deck that I enjoy, an artifact deck I enjoy, and it has a vehicle commander. And as you can see by this screenshot, there's some proof that this deck absolutely can pop off. And sure, we can spit out some facts. This deck relies on its commander very much. So you've got 2 perfectly fine legs and you want to run over here and destroy my commander. That's fine. Me, I've got 2 shattered kneecaps and a pizza in the oven. I'm okay. We ain't the same. But this deck does rely on its commander like a lot. That picture is because the commander got to stick. But if you notice in that picture, there's a lot of other stuff going on that is just good synergy in the deck. We definitely have a backup plan outside of the commander. And we have protection to protect our commander. So if you're interested in seeing my Izzet vehicle commander artifact list, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Hype, which I guess is a new thing. And let's talk about the commander Jackdaw. Let's start things off with the Jackdaw. The Jackdaw is a 1, a blue, and a red vehicle that is a 4/4. Whenever the Jackdaw deals combat damage to a player, you may discard your hand. If you do, draw a card for each artifact you control, and it crews for 3. So the name of the game here is to animate Jackdaw, make a ton of artifacts, whether that be tokens or just playing cheap, efficient artifacts, and then play a bunch of card draw, discard interaction, and find a way to make Jackdaw unblockable and start smacking people's face and discarding and drawing a ton of cards and have value engines pop off. And again, I'll show that picture. Yeah, sometimes the value engines, they'd be popping off. So let's actually get into some of the aspects of the Jackdaw deck. So we're going to start things off talking about some ways we have to make artifact tokens, okay? So we've got Piper Wright being a, you know I will, being 1 and a blue for a 1/2. Whenever Piper Wright deals combat damage to a player, create that many clue tokens, and whenever you sacrifice a clue, put a 1/1 counter on target creature we control. So we can make Piper Wright bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, but the most important part is when she's bigger and bigger and bigger, she's going to create us more and more clue tokens, and when she creates us more and more clue tokens, that's more cards we're going to be drawing with Jackdaw, so perfect card in this list. Sai, Master Thopterus, 2 and a blue for a 1/4. Whenever we cast an artifact, we get a 1/1 Thopter artifact creature token. We can pay 1 and a blue to sacrifice an artifact and draw a card. Yeah, our artifacts turning into more artifacts, yeah, that's going to be good in this deck. Efficient Construction. Speaking of our artifacts turning into more artifacts, same deal. Whenever we cast an artifact, we get a Thopter. Third Path Iconoclast. Whenever we cast a non-creature spell, we get a 1/1 artifact soldier. Hell yeah. So all of our artifacts and instants and sorceries become more artifacts? Sure. Ravenous Robots. Whenever we cast an artifact spell, create a 1/1, wait a second, robot artifact creature token. Huh. And then 1 red, tap it. Creature tokens you control gain haste until end of turn. Yeah, artifacts making artifacts. There's a theme. Precursor Golem. 5 for a 3/3 that makes 2 more 3/3s. This is just 5 for 3 artifacts with pretty decent stats. We will definitely run that. Brea's Apprentice, same kind of idea. It's just a 3-drop 2/3 that makes another artifact. You can either impulse draw the top of your library or give something +2/+0. I don't know how often we're going to be using this. Most of the time, it's just a 3-drop that makes you 2 artifact bodies, so I like it. And it's got a little toolbox attached, so why not? Thopter Fabricator. Whenever we cast our second spell each turn, we get a 1/1 Thopter. And this deck, again, is going to be casting pretty efficiently costed artifacts, so this actually is firing off quite often. And it's bracket 2 casual. Games go long. You're going to be casting multiple spells late game. And then finally, Loyal Apprentice. A 2/1 with haste that gives us a Thopter on our combat if we control our commander. So just a really good engine. Honestly, kind of like a Bitter Blossom in a way if you control your commander. So becoming one of my favorite cards. Moving on from that, we're going to talk about the package we run of ways to make Jackdaw unblockable. First way is Manifold Key. This 1-drop artifact, you can pay 1 and tap it to untap another target artifact, or you can pay 3 and tap it, target creature can't be blocked. So just a great way to make Jackdaw unblockable. Key to the City is one of the best ways in the deck to make Jackdaw unblockable. A 2-drop artifact, you can tap it, discard a card, up to 1 target creature can't be blocked this turn, and when it untaps, you can pay 2 to draw a card. So it replaces the card you discarded, so it's card draw and discard in a deck that's based around card draw and discard, which is fantastic, and it's evasion for Jackdaw, absolutely perfect. Thassa, God of the Sea, 2 and a blue, 5/5 indestructible, you know the whole god shtick, you scry 1 at the beginning of your upkeep, but then also you can pay 1 and a blue to make target creature unblockable, which, again, very good in Jackdaw to make things unblockable. And these unblockable effects, you'll see that they're repeatable because there's going to be another category of cards, which we'll talk about next, that these do double work in this deck. Whirler Rogue, 2 and 2 blue for a 2/2. When it enters, you create 2 1/1 Thopters, so this also ups our artifact count, but also you can tap 2 artifacts to make a creature unblockable. And in a deck based around artifacts and making our commander unblockable, this is absolutely perfect. Whirler Rogue is becoming one of my absolute favorite cards to run in a lot of my decks. And then finally, we got K9 being a 1 blue, 1/1. As long as K9 Mark 1 is untapped, legendary creatures you control have ward 1. You can pay 1 and a blue and tap it. Target legendary creature can't be blocked this turn. So a crude Jackdaw fits the bill. So again, very good. So let's talk about the backup plan in the deck, because that is a good segue after talking about the unblockable effects, because those unblockable effects can also be used on this category of cards, which is the deck's scalar cards. These are going to be cards that just get bigger and bigger and bigger over the course of the game, and since we run the unblockable package, this is another lane to victory if the Jackdaw lane doesn't work out. Master of Ethereum scales with the amount of artifacts we control and also gives artifact creatures +1/+1, so this thing will get huge late game. Donatello is a 2 and a blue 1/2 flying that gets a 1/1 counter whenever an artifact enters, which with the amount of artifact tokens we make, this thing got huge in the game I played. Klinquant Sky Mage gets a +1/+1 whenever we draw a card, so if Jackdaw is firing off, this thing's going to get ginormous. Menom Euthros Exile is a 1, a blue, and a red 1/3 that gets a 1/1 counter whenever an artifact enters on our side, and again, with all the artifact tokens, it's going to be great. It also has flying. Baxter Fly in the Ointment, you guys are probably familiar with this one. He gives our stuff with counters flying when he enters or attacks, but whenever we draw a card, he gets a 1/1 counter, so he's going to get huge. Onerophage, another flyer that gets a 1/1 counter whenever we draw. Ominous Seas gets a counter whenever we draw, and every time it hits 8, we get a Kraken. I think we made 5 or 6 Krakens in one of the games with Jackdaw. It actually is insane in this deck. Evora is fantastic, being 1 in a red for a 1/1 trample. When it enters, you get a blood token, sure. I think when it does combat damage, you get one as well. Yeah. But also, whenever you discard a card, it gets a 1/1 counter. So in Jackdaw, with the cards we're discarding, with its trigger, we are going to be making this thing huge. And then finally, like any good blue deck on my channel, Chasm Skulker gets a +1/+1 whenever we draw a card. When it dies, we get 1/1 Island Walk equal to the amount of 1/1 counters that were on it. So absolutely busted in this deck. With Jackdaw, drawing a ton of cards. So next we're going to talk about some of our card draw and discard engines in the deck. We run Drake Haven, so whenever we discard a card, we may pay 1 to make a 2/2 Drake. With the amount of cards we're discarding from Jackdaw, we could swarm the board with 2/2 Drakes with this card. Nadir Kraken, we can pay 1 whenever we draw a card to put a 1/1 counter on it, and then also make a 1/1 Tentacle. Again, this can get very out of hand in this deck. A couple of these probably should have been in the Scalar pile, but it's whatever. Nadir Kraken, very good in the deck. Psychosis Crawler scales with our hand size. I don't know if Psychosis Crawler dies when we discard our hand and then draw that many. If someone could let me know that in the comments, that would dictate whether or not we stick with this card. But its power and toughness is equal to our hand size, and then whenever we draw a card, each opponent loses 1. So with the Jackdaw firing off, yeah. Magmakin Artillerist is 2 in a red for a 1/4. Whenever we discard 1 or more cards, deal that much damage to each opponent. Yikes in this deck. Speaking of yikes in this deck, Surly Badgesaur, 3 in a red for a 3/3. Whenever we discard a creature card, put a 1/1 counter on Surly Badgesaur. Whenever we discard a land card, we get a treasure token. And whenever we discard a non-creature, non-land card, Surly Badgesaur fights something. Yeah, sure. And then finally, Glint Hort Buccaneer is insane. 1 and 2 red, 2/4. Haste, whenever we discard a card, deal that much damage to each opponent. Pay 1 in a black, discard a card, draw a card. Activate this ability only if Glinthorn Buccaneer is attacking. So yeah, a discard draw engine as well as a way to ping opponents whenever we discard in a deck where we discard massive amounts of cards. Sure, that'll win us games indefinitely. And before we get into the basics of the deck runs Perpetual Timepiece and Felden's Cane, because shuffling our graveyard back into our library and being able to like restart this whole engine that we've got going is really important, because the Jackdaw, once it gets firing off, is actually incredibly efficient at digging through your deck, but it's also incredibly efficient at self-milling yourself. So running these is going to be very useful in the deck. You could swap out Felden's or this for Elixir of Immortality. I just didn't have one on hand, but 2 of these effects seem very good in the deck. Moving on to the mana ramp in the deck, we run Sunset Strike Master because it obviously is just a 2-drop mana dork, but it has 3 power, so it's able to crew Jackdaw, and you can also sack it to deal 6 damage to a creature with flying. This card does a lot of work in this deck, so it's in here. We run Thought Vessel, Prismatic Lens, Arcane Signet, Talisman of Creativity, Felwar Stone, Izzet Signet, Soul Ring, Liquimetal Torque, Mind Stone. And then as far as card draw in the deck is concerned, we run Vinwixt Verbose Host. He has start your engines, and then when you're at full engines, you start drawing double cards. And as you can see from the deck, drawing double cards, that'll make some of our creatures massive, make our engines fire off at double speed. It's going to be good. Thrill of Possibilities, just so we can discard and draw cards. Insight Engines, because it's one of my new favorite draw pieces. Pay 2, put a counter on it, draw for the amount of counters on it. Yeah. Seize the Spoils, draw and discard. Containment Construct, be able to play the cards that we're discarding, which is really good. Izzet Charm, draw and discard. Fearless Swashbuckler is really good in this deck as long as you attack with a pirate and a vehicle, which this is a pirate, our commander's a vehicle. We draw 3, discard 2, which, yeah, that's going to be good in this theme. Moving on to removal, we've got Suspend, Reality Shift, Prismari Command. It also lets us draw cards, discard cards, and create treasures. So, Counterspell. Stoic Rebuttal, which can just be another counterspell in this deck because of our artifact count. Pongify. An Offer You Can't Refuse. Negate. And Abrade. And then we only run 1 board wipe, and it's Blasphemous Act. With our commander being a artifact, we can sometimes wipe the board and be able to keep our commander. So, not bad. And then not much to talk about in the lands except for these 3, Treasure Vault, Great Furnace, and Sea of the Synod. They're all artifact lands, so they up our artifact count for Jackdaw. So yeah, put these in your deck for sure. What we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and run a Goldfish of the Jackdaw so I can show you what a game with this looks like, and then we will talk about some potential upgrades, and I will get out of your guys' hair. Sound good? Cool. Head over to the goldfishing table, baby. Come on, focus up. Focus up. Focus up. All right, get a little shuffle on cam as always, because we ain't stacking our decks around here. I'm not trying to show you the best possible plays with the deck. I'm trying to show you what an average hand and gameplay is going to look like with the deck, which might rake me over the coals in one of these videos, but we'll see. Give it a cut. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 off the top. All right. We've got Ivara, Insatiable Air, Island, Nadir Kraken, Thought Vessel, Perpetual Timepiece, Sigh, and an Island. Ooh, I think I do keep this one. It is risky, but like there's enough to do here without the mountain. Let's try it. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so we will draw into a Seed of the Synod. It's not bad. We will play a Seed of the Synod, and we will pass. We'll draw into a... Oh, Great Furnace! What a draw. Okay, we're going to go ahead and play that Great Furnace. And play 2 for a Thought Vessel. And then we will go ahead and pass the turn. Comes back around to us. We will untap. Upkeep, draw. Draw into an Abrade. Come on, focus up here. Draw into an Abrade. We're going to go ahead and play the Island. And then pay 3 in a blue for Sigh. Or 2 in a blue for Sigh. So whenever we cast an artifact, we get a 1/1 Thopter now. Passes back around. We will draw. We draw into Efficient Construction. Ooh. Okay, we're going to play a land. We're going to play our commander. Jackdaw. And when we cast Jackdaw, Sigh is going to go ahead and make us a Thopter. And then we're going to pay 2 to cast our Perpetual Timepiece, and that will make us another Thopter. So not bad, you know what I mean? Turn 4, we're sitting at 2 Thopters, a Sigh that's going to keep firing off, a Jackdaw that we can now crew and swing at somebody, and yeah, we're going to pass back around here. Well, all we need to do is draw into an unblockable effect, and we are looking pretty good. Sunset Striker, the 3/1 mana dork. It won't focus up. Yeah, so at this point, I would probably just play Nadir Kraken so we can get that firing off. And then crew up our commander with Sigh and the 2 tokens. And if we could get in at somebody right now for 4, we would hit them for 4. And that would cause us to discard our hand. So we would discard these 4 cards. And we would draw equal to the number of artifacts we control. Which at the moment, we've got the 2 lands, Thought Vessel, the 2 Thopters, Jackdaw, and Perpetual. So that is 7. So we're going to draw 7. Loyal Apprentice, Island, Blasphemous Act, Thassa, there we go, there's the unblockable effect, Bray's Apprentice, Island, and a Clinquant Sky Mage. Yeah, we will definitely take that. Untap, and then now we've got the actual loop of the deck. If someone deals with Jackdaw, we've still got Nadir Kraken and some of these other effects firing off, and if they don't deal with Jackdaw, we can now play Thassa, crew the Jackdaw, pay 2 to give it unblockable with Thassa, smack someone face, and then start ripping through our deck, getting cards like Clinquant Sky Mage bigger and bigger, getting our Nadir Kraken bigger and bigger, doing all that good stuff. So that seems pretty okay to me. We're going to run one more test game just so I can give you an actual average here of what a game looks like, and then we will talk about some potential upgrades, and I'll get out of your guys' hair. So let's roll on to Goldfish number 2. What this game is looking like. This deck has been an actual blast. This is the most shocking build on the channel so far. I was 100% convinced this was going to be not only unplayable, but just not fun for me, and both of those are a negatory, Captain. It is very playable, and I have been having an absolute blast with it, so I can't really recommend this deck enough. If you want a really interesting build that people are going to go, what the hell's going on? Oh, that might be a good one. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. In this hand, we got a 3rd Path Iconoclast, Precursor Golem, Mountain, Island, Soul Ring, Island. Yeah, that's a keep. Go ahead and draw. Play a Mountain into... I don't think we turn 1 Soul Ring here. I think we just pass. I think we play it safe. I think we sandbag a little bit here. Okay, untap, draw into a Blasphemous Act. Play our Island, and we will play our 3rd Path Iconoclast so we can start getting 1/1 tokens into play whenever we cast non-creatures. Pass. Comes back around, untap, upkeep, draw into Baxter. We take Baxter. We're going to pay 1 for a Soul Ring. That Soul Ring is going to make us a 1/1 artifact thanks to 3rd Path. And then we're going to tap the Soul Ring and tap these 2 for Baxter Fly in the Ointment. And we're looking pretty good. We'll pass back around. Draw our card. Draw into an island. Play an island. We're going to go ahead and play our commander for 3. get Jackdaw out. And since Jackdaw is a non-creature spell, we get another 1/1 construct from the third path Iconoclast. Pass back around, and again, we have a pretty good setup outside of Jackdaw, and if we can draw into an unblockable effect, Jackdaw will be online and doing some good stuff. You can also use politics in this deck pretty efficiently, so right now I could be like, hey, if someone lets me hit them with Jackdaw, I can promise that I can deal with one of the problems on the table, okay? So like if someone has a problem creature right now, I could be like, use my Pongify and be like, hey, I have a Pongify in hand. I could deal with the problem at the table if someone lets me hit them with Jackdaw, okay? And if they do, you could be like, I'm going to go ahead and tap my third path and these 2 tokens to crew Jackdaw and then hit somebody for 4. And then discard our hand, these 4 cards, and we will draw equal to the number of artifacts we control, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 right now. So we'll go ahead and replace those 4 with a new 4. We're going to hit Donatello, Sunset Strike Master, Island, and a Mountain. Cool. So now we've got the Donatello online, which is good. Then we'll pass back around. Draw our card, which is going to put a 1/1 counter on Baxter. Our card is a Drakehaven. 6/6/6. Then we'll play a land. We'll play a Drakehaven for 2 and a blue. That'll make us another one of these. We'll pay 2 and a blue for Donatello. And then, yeah, again, we've got 2 things firing off pretty good in the deck outside of our commander, and as soon as we can draw into the unblockable effect, our commander will start being pretty impressive. Maybe that's one piece of advice or a tip I could give. Maybe a couple more recurring unblockable effects would be useful in this deck. Equipments are weird because they fall off Jackdaw. Same goes for auras, so I'm not really sure there. But I'll do a little research and get back to you guys on what I can find upgrade-wise for the deck. But yeah, that's the Jackdaw list. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Now, if you want a couple upgrades for this deck, I got some suggestions from the lower price range to much, much higher. So let's start with the lower. Kaido Cunning Infiltrator. Kinda cool. It's a Planeswalker, 1 and 2 blue for a 3 loyalty. Whenever a creature you control deals damage to a player, put a loyalty counter on Kaido. Up to 1 target creature you control can't be blocked this turn. Draw a card, discard a card for his +1. Literally everything our deck wants to do. -2, create a 2/1 blue ninja. Sure. -9, you get an emblem with whenever you cast a spell, create a 2/1 blue ninja. Sure. Little built-in win con as well as doing everything the deck wants to do. Yeah, this guy comes in at $141. Why not? Or you could pick up Pinnacle Emissary, coming in at $3. 1 a blue and a red, 3/3. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, create a 1/1 colorless drone artifact creature with flying. This token can only block creatures with flying, and it's got warp. Yeah, artifact that makes more artifacts. I don't know how I missed this one, but I put it in there. And then finally, if you're willing to spend $43, we've got Bria Riptide Rogue. Pretty good. 2 blue, red, 3/3 prowess. Other creatures you control have prowess. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, target creature can't be blocked this turn. So all of our artifacts make it so Jackdaw can't be blocked when we cast them, which is awesome. Again, $43. Proceed at your own risk. You might have a sick wallet like me after you buy this one. And if you did enjoy it, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hype up that video. And if you want to show some additional support like the people you can see on screen and become a YouTube or Patreon member, that would be amazing. I'd review your guys' decks on Friday night live streams if that's a little incentive for you. Also, make sure to check out the website, nixlotus.com, to buy some merch, check out our tools, all that good stuff. And deck list down below if you want to pick up this deck. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.